Nostalgia, a word synonymous with our childhood. No matter what causes this feeling of wistfulness when you think about it, we all have something that will bring us that feeling. Particularly, this comes from things that we enjoyed to do in our childhood, but that's not restrictive. It could happen in our childhood, it can happen in our teens, it could happen in our early adulthood, or hell, it could happen when we're in our midlife crisis and there's just something that happens, and 20 years from when that happened, we think back at it like, that was such a good time. I love doing that. While this feeling is good in the moment, and it can be good, it can and has been used against you, specifically in the forms of the market. They have manipulated the market against you. This form of market manipulation is seen in almost every form of media. However, it is the most pertinent within video games, specifically when it comes to remastered video games. Now, I want to get in front of this here. I understand that re-releasing a game or remastering a game or remaking a game is not market manipulation. I understand that. However, what is market manipulation or manipulating the market is the tactics used in marketing and releasing of these remastered games. Tactics like marketing a remastered game as a new experience, price increases, shadowed price increases, or remaining at the same price as when the original game dropped, shadow drops, as well as exploiting nostalgia when the original versions of the game still exist on current platforms. Games like The Last of Us Part 1 and Alan Wake are excellent examples of marketing remasters as new experiences while doing the absolute minimum amount of work that they can get away with. Both games only have visual enhancements to them. They have no reworks to the combat system or movement system or any other systems in the game, which is a little bit weird, isn't it? Because when you really think about it, when the remasters of Last of Us came out and the remasters of Alan Wake came out, what were they working on? What were those studios working on again? Oh, the sequels to those games that not only had graphical enhancements, they also had enhancements to the combat systems and movement systems of said games, as well as specifically when it comes to Last of Us Part 2, they upgraded the skill tree. They improved upon what you can upgrade and yada, yada, yada. As well as other little small combat mechanics and movement mechanics, like going prone. You couldn't go all the way prone in this first game, but now you could in the second game. So why is it that when you remastered the first game, why didn't you give us prone? It's still a stealth game. Doesn't really change too many mechanics of the game. In fact, it probably makes the game a little bit harder because there's not as many tall grass sections in Last of Us Part 1 as there is Part 2, but I digress. The question comes now of why did they decide against reworking the other systems and only working on the graphical systems? Well, to put it very simply, it has to do with the bottom line. Every company cares about one thing, and that's the bottom line, or their quarterly profit margins. And those profit margins will always take precedent to the consumer, which is a bit antithetical because it's like, well, you need the consumer to be happy to make profit margins work, but then like people are buying slop, so you get the industry that we're in. But they're going to charge you full price for the game. At least up until really recently, remasters have come out at either the price of the original game or so close to it that it's like... Now, Alan Wake seems to be one that doesn't fall into this. I believe it was released for $30, which is half the price of the original game, right? The original games were $60 or $65 with tax. But that's half the price of the original game. I can get behind that. Half the price for an I've never played Alan Wake, so I'd probably pay full price for it because I've never played it. I have never experienced it. I can justify giving $60 to a game that I've never experienced. However, if I've experienced that game, why the fuck would I play it again? But that's besides the point. It's about profit margins. And games like Skyrim and The Last of Us are perfect examples of caring about the profit margins instead of caring about what the consumer actually wants. Now, what the consumer actually wants is brand new IPs that are good. That's what the consumer wants. I think we all know that's what the consumer wants. But the consumer will also compromise. Oh, well, I can't get a new IP that's good, so I'll just rebuy the same game that's been released 2 times, 3 times, 4 times, because at least I know it's good. It's because of thinking like that we just keep this cyclic rate of just in the same fucking motion over and over and over again, because we keep buying the same games, because we're willing to do it. But again, I digress. They're going to charge you full prices for these remasters. Upon release, Skyrim Special Edition, which came out in 2016, and Skyrim Anniversary Edition, which I believe came out in 2021, because I believe it was the 10-year anniversary edition. Both of these games for Skyrim were released at the full cost. Anniversary was $70, I believe, if I remember correctly, because that's after the fact that they had already upped the prices of AAA games to $70 instead of $60, and now they're talking about $80, $90, $100. Whole nother topic, but kind of goes into it. And then Last of Us Part 1, which may now be cheaper. Both of these games, I'm sure, are much cheaper, but upon release of the remasters were the same price or a little bit more than the original games. And all you did was make them look a little better. I wouldn't even notice the graphical fidelity if I played Last of Us Part 1 unremastered on my PS4 from the PS3. I probably wouldn't notice the remaster changes on a PS4. Let's be real. Most of us probably couldn't see that. Especially when it's that close, right? And now I'm being a little hyperbolic. Of course, everybody can see the minute changes, but it's also, again, goes to the point of while graphics matter, what makes a game? It's the gameplay. It's not the graphics. You could play Minecraft, which has some of the shittiest, or some of the best, depending on what mods you put on, some of the shittiest graphics in the fucking world. But the gameplay loop is what keeps people coming back and coming back and coming back. And it's funny because it's you're charging us full price for these remastered games. But we've already experienced these games. So it's why are we paying full price for these games? And the worst part is we're paying full price for the easiest part of the process. Enhancing graphical fidelity is the easiest part of the process. Even if you were to remake a game from scratch, it's the easiest part of the process. So they're taking the cheapest, easiest way to remaster a game and giving it to you like slop. And it's funny because it's proven that the graphical fidelity is the easiest and cheapest thing to improve upon. However, even if you were to fully remake a game, not remaster, because there is a difference, even if you were fully to remake a game from the ground up, it is still cheaper to do that than to go invest into creating a new intellectual property from scratch. And within that lies the answer to my next question of why. Or my question, I'm sorry, not my next question, but that answers my question of why is it that they only choose to rework the graphical upgrades. It's because it is the cheapest option to keep the profit margin even higher than it was before. And again, like I said, that's all they care about is the profit margin. So that's why they choose to only upgrade the graphical fidelity of games when they remaster games most of the time. Next up, we have shadow dropping, which it's a hit or miss. You can really... this one is definitely a little more shaky than the rest, but and not only that, it's also kind of antithetical to kind of my point of this. The point of this is the nostalgia is really fucking us over, right? However, shadow dropping is almost antithetical to nostalgia, because while we're talking about remastered games, so of course there is that play upon nostalgia. Shadow dropping more tugs upon the feeling of FOMO, or fear of missing out, than it does upon nostalgia. For some odd reason, when people don't hear about something until it is dropped, it creates this like almost schism within our brain. Especially for those, when it comes to games, who have already played said game, right? And you would think like, well, you're making it seem like you just don't care. And I mean, for the most part, like, I don't. If I've played a game and I got my experience out of it, I got my experience out of it. I can remember most of it. Unless it's a game like Skyrim or Cyberpunk or an RPG, of course, that like, there's so many options that like, I'm gonna keep replaying it because like, I even there's just so many storylines I obviously didn't explore, so many different combat methods, there's so much to it. But like a game like Last of Us, I'm playing it once, maybe twice, but that's it. Maybe a third time, 5-10 years down the road when I want to show my daughter. Probably much later than 5 or 10 years old. 15, let's say 15. But you get my point. Like, I'm not going to go back and replay Last of Us every other year or every year. I got the experience when I first played it. I replayed it here recently. It hit. But it's not something that I'm like, oh, I got to replay it again. It's something that's like, yeah, you know what? I played it once or twice. Okay. But so like again, it creates this schism. And it especially creates this schism for people who have already played that game. And the schism really comes from the logical part and the emotional part of your brain fighting, right? The logical part of your brain is saying, no, dumbass, you've already experienced this story and this media. Don't waste your hard-earned money on it. Like, it's not worth it. Then you have your more emotional side of your brain saying, what if they added new subcontext to the environment? Or what if they fixed that annoying bug? Or what if they finally made it to where it's like upgrading is actually fun now? Or so credit card go brrr. Like, for example, Pikmin 1 and 2, they shadow dropped in 2023. Pikmin 1 and 2, that remaster or redrop, has sold over 3 million units worldwide already. And it was shadow dropped. It is the most successful selling Pikmin ever. Pikmin 1 and 2 combined. Now it's 2 games, but it's one drop. It was released only 1 month before Pikmin 4. The brand new Pikmin at the time, right? I believe they're making a 5th one, and that should be the final installment, but I don't play Nintendo. Fuck Nintendo. The point shows, Pikmin 1 and 2 outsold the brand new addition to the series with a month before they shadow dropped it, and people still chose to go buy the old game. Now, this is Nintendo. I don't know. From what I know, Nintendo's pretty good about, like, not falling into the kind of slop, like, rerun the same fucking gameplay loops over and over. And yes, they do with Mario and stuff like that, but, like, it seems like Nintendo's always innovating. So why is it that Pikmin 1 and 2 outsold the new one? Why? It doesn't make sense. And now, Pikmin 1 and 2 don't fall into this next category, which is exploiting nostalgia when the original game is still available on current platforms. I can at least give Pikmin 1 and 2 the credence that the only platforms they were available on before the re-release on Switch was really the GameCube, Wii, which no one ever plays anymore, and then a Nintendo 3DS, which you probably have a little bit more player base, but still nothing compared to the Switch. So them dropping Pikmin on the Switch, I wouldn't say is a pitfall that like Pikmin falls into when it comes to like abusing nostalgia when the games are available on current platforms. Because again, I believe the Nintendo 3DS is the only thing it was available on up until 2023. However, games like The Last of Us and Skyrim are the epitome of this. You could throw basically 90% of remasters in there, but Skyrim and The Last of Us are the epitome of this. Do you want to know why I bought Skyrim Special Edition? It's simply because I can remember what it was like when I first got the game. I got the game after it dropped. I got it the summer after it dropped, right? I got it in between middle school and high school. the summer in between middle school and high school, I remember spending like 80 hours. 80 hours just dungeon crawling and exploring before I even fought the first dragon at Whiterun. Before I even fought that motherfucker. I explored for 80 hours. That's why I bought the special edition. Because one, I hadn't played Skyrim in some years. Even though it's still my favorite game I had played up until that date, I hadn't played it in years because like I had a PS4 now. I wasn't going to go spend the extra money to buy the PS3 version. But then they dropped the enhanced version. I was like, you know what? I do want to play this game and I don't feel like booting up my Xbox 360. I'll drop the $60. And at the time, I was a kid. Money didn't mean as much to me. But at least I could say that I still got a lot of enjoyment out of it. Because again, Skyrim is kind of one of those things where it's like, there's so many different things that you can do that like, I think I could play that game for 1,000 hours and probably still not find everything, right? But it's because of the nostalgia that I bought the special edition. I still haven't bought the anniversary edition. I refuse to. Because it's like, what are you adding? You're adding things that like, one should have been added just as an update. Like, those community weapons and shit. Like, just update that. Give it to the people that fucking bought the game 10 years ago. 20 years, not 20 years ago, but like 15 years ago and then what, like 8 years ago, 9 years ago at this point, just fucking give us a free update. At the point of 2021 when the special edition came out, I had the anniversary edition came out, I had the special edition for 5 years. Just give me a free fucking update. Fucking Siege X is not making other players that bought Siege 10 years ago buy the game again. They're giving us a free fucking update. Now, Ubisoft kind of has to. They'd lose their fucking community and probably go bankrupt. But that's besides the point. And so that's why I bought Skyrim, right? It's because it played upon my nostalgia. Even though I could still buy the PS3 version. I just made the decision to buy the PS4 version. Play the PS4 version. Even though I didn't need to. And it even, like... It's even worse if you're playing on a PC. Because, like, bro, you could go buy Skyrim for stupid cheap, like the original version, and just mod the shit out of it and get it looking better for free than $60. But that's, or $70 or $80. Whatever the fuck they want to charge. Because fuck them, right? Fuck the consumer. But, again, it comes with Last of Us as well. Now you might ask, well, why do you have Last of Us 1 remastered on your PS5? Well, it came with the PlayStation for free. You think I'm not gonna take a free game? Duh, like what the fuck? You got like 4 or 5 like PlayStation classics that are free on the PS5. Download them if you haven't played them. They're free. Like, simple as that. If the game was not free, I wouldn't have replayed it. I wouldn't have just finished replaying it not that long ago because I wouldn't have bought it. I already experienced the story. I already know the story like the back of my hand because I really enjoyed the story when I played it. Like, there are actual moments of nostalgia. I could say that if I did not have the game, that I could still remember, but I don't think I need to experience the whole story again just for those moments of nostalgia. Like, for example, when Joel first calls Ellie baby girl, after he said, "You're not my daughter," and then he saves her from David from, the assault. He calls her baby girl for the first time, representing the shift and final evolution of Joel's character and finally accepting that he is feeling like a father again and he's willing to accept these emotions and he's willing to potentially hurt again because he feels love. Or the slaughter of the hospital, which is probably the best mission of the game. But I would have never bought the game because I experienced it and I was like, okay, I don't need to experience Last of Us Part 1 again, especially if I have to pay for it. But because it was free, I took it. Now, again, I only needed to experience it once. There are nostalgic moments, but it's not so pulling that I feel like I need to go play the game. However, I know plenty of people who had the same feeling I had towards Skyrim, towards The Last of Us Part 1, and I understand why. Some people's nostalgia is just triggered by completely different things than other people's. You know, if different emotions, like different smells, different sights. So if you get really nostalgic over like really emotional stories, which I know people can and will do, Last of Us is a perfect story to bait on your nostalgia for. But again, it goes back to my point of like, you're getting scammed. If you have a PC especially, you're getting scammed. You can buy these games cheaper than the remasters and play them with mods for free. But I digress. Now, surprisingly, the company that is probably the most notorious for predatory remasters and re-releases has now released what is potentially a new industry standard for these types of releases. While yes, Bethesda did shadow drop Oblivion, they also released it for under $20 market, kind of like market standard. They released it for $50 for the standard edition and $60 for the upgraded bullshit edition. But here's where the real standard is set, not just the price. They called it a remaster. Now, you can argue, but here's the reality. They didn't just remaster the game. They essentially remade the game from the ground up. So the fact that they call it a remaster instead of a remake is the only issue of the release here, right? However, again, like I said, there is differences between the remakes and remasters. Specifically, remakes are usually like literally starting from scratch and remaking the game from the ground up, and remastering is taking the game and just enhancing it a little bit. In reality, all remasters should be remakes. If you're gonna remaster a game, just fucking remake it at this point. Just remake it. Cheaper anyways than making a new IP, so you might as well just remake it. However, the terms are used synonymously at this point. But again, Oblivion is not a remaster. It's a remake. From adding new voice actors to non-essential characters so that the world feels more alive instead of going up to a female NPC trader and getting a male voice, like in the original Oblivion game, they hired new voice actresses and voice actors so they would fill out every single character. Then you have reworking character models. I mean, do I need to say more? Literally just look up the Emperor original Oblivion and the Emperor remastered. There you go. There you go. They also reworked the combat and movement systems. Now, the core combat is basically the same, but where they reworked the combat system is how enemies react to being hit, which makes the combat feel a lot more fluid, and still is a reworking the original gameplay. As well as the movement. The movement seems way smoother than original Oblivion for sure. But they still kept the main dialogue as well as the vibe of the game and the vibe of the universe and the vibe of the world. And they even purposely kept some of the jank, what is called Bethesda jank, because I think every Bethesda player knows that there is a certain amount of jank that you need for a Bethesda game to make it really feel like a Bethesda game. Obviously, we don't want game-breaking fucking glitches like getting stuck in the sarcophagus for the Dark Brotherhood quest in Skyrim. But you know, when the fucking AI models just fucking do some wild shit or just do some dumb shit, it's amazing. It's amazing. So they kept the game essentially the same when it comes to story, vibe, and like every important story step, the same for new players. So you still get to experience that original game, but then they reworked the graphical fidelity as well as the systems for combat and movement so it feels like a modern day game. And it's kind of sad because it's, again, setting a new standard for the industry. And while this is a great directional shift for the industry, in the way that Baldur's Gate 3 was a great shift for the industry, less than 2 years ago. The problem, however, still persists. Oblivion Remastered is not a new IP. A new IP that could breed that same nostalgia that Skyrim or Oblivion did. But, like Rockstar, why would Bethesda release new games in a timely manner when they have a money printer that still works? Now, Rockstar's issue is a bit different when it comes to here, with GTA Online and how they moved about that. That's a little bit different there, but it is still predatory. We can at least admit that. But we can also admit that when Rockstar has a bug in their game, they fix it within 48 hours. But I digress. Because now Rockstar is rumored to be remastering GTA 4, which is nothing new because they did release the GTA Trilogy remastered in 2021. But that kind of seemed like a whim more than anything. That just kind of seemed like they were giving people these little thingy, and we know these are some of your favorite games, so enjoy them. It didn't seem like they were going to start moving into the remastered space like a lot of companies have been deciding to do. And it's even worse because, Bethesda seems to use this, let's remaster a game so that people don't realize that, in 17 days from the writing of this, it's been 7 years since we got the Elder Scrolls 6 teaser trailer, right? Bethesda almost seems to purposely be like, yeah, let's just release some bullshit so that they don't even realize that we've been bullshitting them. Bullshit on top of bullshit. Thanks, Bethesda. But it is worrying when it comes to Rockstar. Now, Rockstar doesn't have a set precedent for this yet. It just is worrying because it's like I've heard rumors of Midnight Club being remastered. I believe Bully. These are just rumors, but GTA 4 seems to be the biggest one. And that seems to be like it might be the truest at this point. And I hope to God that they're not doing that. Because now I'm going to be questioning, like, is this why GTA 6 was delayed? Because you wanted to remaster fucking GTA 4? Are you serious? But at least Rockstar gave us a teaser trailer and then gave us a release date within a year or like a year and a half. I can at least say Rockstar did that. At least it seems like Rockstar cares about fucking keeping a fan base. At least to me. Now, the overall problem with the industry is it has become very stale. And part of it is due to you and me, the fan base, right? Now, probably you more than me. Actually, let's be honest. If you're here, it's probably not you either. But it's fan bases being afraid of new IPs and like dogging IPs before they even get a chance to play them. A great example is the new Naughty Dog game that's like taking place in like a retro, like almost like alien style sci-fi. I can't remember the name for it. There's like a specific word for it. It's like I almost had it. Damn. Analog. It's called Analog Sci-Fi. Their analog sci-fi game that's coming out that almost seems like a Souls-like. Now, all we got was a teaser trailer. But people seem to have taken an issue that it was a black girl with a bald head. But like, I don't know if you watched the teaser trailer. There's obviously a picture of her with a full head of hair as well. So it's like, maybe something happened to her character that caused her to shave her head. I don't know. Maybe stop being such a closed-minded fucktard and let the game fucking release before you just dog on it. Like, part of the reason they keep re-releasing old games is because of fucktards like you. Right? You realize that, right? It's because of people that just would rather play old games and are afraid of anything that might challenge their ideas. That's why we're stuck in this fucking loop. This issue is, in fact, a double-edged sword. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not. Like, it is, in fact, a double-edged sword. We can't sit here and hold the corporation solely responsible when we're buying the game still. It's like blaming an OnlyFans creator when there's simps that buy the OnlyFans material. But at the same time, voting with your dollar is very important, right? It's still like one of the most pertinent things you can do as a consumer. We should all be voting for things we haven't seen before. if you don't believe in that, especially when it comes to media, you probably shouldn't be consuming media. Like, just plain and simple. If you're not willing to go outside your comfort zone and explore new things, you probably shouldn't be consuming any form of media at all. We should be promoting innovation and not stagnation, especially when it comes to voting with our dollar. Because we spend 40 hours a week, 80% of our lives, to make that dollar. And you keep choosing stagnation over innovation. We keep getting the same game releases every year, like Call of Duty or Madden or MLB The Show or NHL or fucking any Ubisoft open world game, because you keep buying it. Okay? It's because you keep buying the game. Yes, I'm putting as much blame on you as I am on the corporations that are selling you this fucking slop. Because at this point, it's slop. And if we don't get re-released games of like Madden or Call of Duty, we get bastardized sequels with minimal gameplay updates. I'm not sure about you guys, but I'm really sick and tired of the same worlds over and over and over and over again. I want to experience a new world, a new universe, a new story, new characters, new feelings about those characters. I want a universe that leaves me yearning to learn the lore and like makes me think like I can't wait to get done at the gym and get done at work and get done at taking care of my daughter and put her to bed so I can eventually get that 1 hour of playing the game. And yes, sorry, I meant to, a little, yeah, I have a kid now, so like I can't spend as much time on games as I like to. Even though gaming is probably like one of my biggest hobbies. Because it lets me disassociate. I can't do that as much. So it's like, I want a game that makes me want to fucking play it in my free time. Like when I got some free time, I want to play it. No game has got me like that anymore. No game. Because they're all the same. I just want that nostalgic feeling back, but I want it for something new. Because you know when you get that nostalgic feeling. You know. There's something that almost like triggers in your brain that you know this is something you're going to remember for the rest of your life. And I haven't felt that about a video game since... You know what? I can give Cyberpunk some credit. Once Cyberpunk came out, there's plenty about Cyberpunk that makes me feel some nostalgia. I can say that. Looking back at playing the game, I could say that, especially my first Street Kid playthrough, got some nostalgia for it. But before that, and I bought that game in like 2023 when they released Phantom Liberty and said it was fixed, which it was. I didn't mean to put it on. But before that, maybe the first time playing The Last of Us. Maybe the summers I spent playing Battlefield 3 in between, because I played Battlefield 3 for quite a bit. But I don't know. I haven't felt that feeling in a long time. Now, this industry that was once praised for yearly innovations and captivating stories and worlds that, that were just out of this world. This industry has become rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat gameplay loops that are just reskinned in a new graphical fidelity. Or they're just re-releasing the same games. That already are classics or already were popular. The gaming industry has a major problem, and it's the nostalgia of the fans. We all want something that is new and good. However, if we keep feeding into the manipulative tactics of these corporations, we are destined to be fed our slop and be happy with it. Like in many facets of our lives, if we do not course correct, we are destined for a crashing industry. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. Let me know how I did in the comments. Let me know if I'm a fucking idiot or not. And let me know if you're falling for the slop the same way most people are. And remember this, guys. Together, we move mountains. Later.